Oh, okay. There we go. See, teamwork. Great. So thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are really excited to be here to speak with this particular group around the topic of disrupt aging and disrupt aging in the classroom, which is our big project that we'd love to talk to you about in terms of the volunteer opportunities. I'm Karen Chong. I'm the Vice President of Audience Strategy for Age Inclusion here at AARP. In the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. And I'm also the enterprise-wide lead for the Age Discrimination Strategic Initiative. So much of our work is really about trying to break down some stereotypes around age and aging and ageism, and try to combat age discrimination so that we can ensure that everyone can choose how they live as we age. And certainly, one of the exciting things for us is disrupt aging in the classroom and beyond really takes the message of AARP and our social mission into college campuses, into college classrooms, and really takes the message of AARP to kind of to an unexpected place, bringing so much of our work into the opportunity to speak to 18 to 20 somethings. But what's been great is we've had some great success. If we go to the next slide, you'll see that there we go. So, oh, nope, back one. Okay, there we go. Down. Okay, there we go. All right. Disrupt aging in the classroom. So what it is a 2.5-hour curriculum, which is either one long class or two classes during a week that is delivered to an existing classroom. So it is a class that students have signed up for. We take over a certain amount of time, just a footprint in that class. And it's really bringing so much of our information that we want people to think about aging differently, and it's bringing that information to the students and having them really examine their preconceived notions about age and aging. As we know that people tend to think of old or older as somewhere around 17 plus years beyond where they are. So 30-year-olds think it's around 45 to 47. 50-year-olds think older is 65. 80-year-olds think that they'll be older when it's 90. But 18-year-olds tend to think of older as being a much quicker age marker to get to. So that's always an interesting thing for us to see how they shift their thoughts about aging. And so you see here that it's we have a core of highly trained AARP volunteers, and we will hear from 2 of them today. It is free as a curriculum into those colleges and universities. During the pandemic, we obviously scaled up, and it is delivered 100% virtually at this point, but it's been great because that allows volunteers in Maine to teach a class in Los Angeles, and really gives people the opportunity as volunteers to experience different classrooms, because it is an interactive format during that class. So you can see the learning objectives. This is something that we train you to during the volunteer process, and you learn as you become facilitators how to really leverage the content that we have. AARP, as is a data-heavy, research-rich organization, and we want to make sure that you are going into that classroom fully armed and ready to have those conversations. And if we can go to the next slide, one of the things that I'm particularly proud of is that this content is incredible, in that not only that we're shifting thoughts, but we are really sticky. You'll see that, not after the class, but after the end of the semester, which is several weeks after the end of the actual classroom, you'll see that we are really shifting how younger people are thinking about age and aging, and the fact that they just notice signs of everyday ageism, specifically in stores, businesses, and in media, really tells us that we're arming them to think about aging differently. And as they go forth into careers in business, in design, advertising, and potentially even nursing, that they are really thinking about aging differently as they approach that as part of their career. So it's been pretty exciting for us, and and all the way down to have taken steps to learn more about older adults and aging. We think it's actually going to spark a new intergenerational volunteer opportunity in working with these younger students and younger adults. So it's been very exciting for us. But you don't want to hear about it from me. I just kind of help run some of the program. You really do want to hear from our practitioners. And first up is Nick Nicholson, who can speak to this not just from the perspective of facilitators and taking this into the classroom, but he's one of y'all, he's a nurse. And so I would love to turn it over to Nick and have him tell you a little bit about his experience. Nick, I think you're on mute. There we go. Nick, are you? Oh no, are we having technical difficulties?
There we go. There we go.
There you go.
It was, yeah. All right, so now we are ready to roll. So next slide, please. Thank you, Karen, so much for that introduction. I am so very honored to be here presenting. If we could advance the slide just one more forward, I would certainly appreciate that. I am here to talk about my favorite topic, aging, with my favorite audience, nurses and friends of nurses. So just a little bit about me. I started as an RN. I've been in the profession for 22 years. And I've been teaching nursing and aging in higher education for over 10 years now. So in my clinical practice, it didn't matter what floor, what unit I worked on, whether it was medical, surgical, the CCU, cardiac, you name it. A very large number of the patients that I took care of were older adults. And I just love working with the population. So I am biased in that way. So I just wanted to get that out. But you knew there was going to be a but, right? So, but I didn't always enjoy the idea of working with older adults. So when I was in nursing school, I watched the medical shows that were on TV and the movies, which had older adults as characters. So I thought that I knew what older adults were like. And I knew based on that, I did not want to work with any older adults that acted, looked, or behaved like that. But as soon as I graduated, I realized two things. After graduation, I realized I had to work with older adults. And also, they were nothing like what I had seen on TV. In fact, they were much more interesting. They had experienced things that I truly enjoyed hearing about, like servicing our, service to our country in World War II, playing football for top colleges in the country, and also going to see iconic musicians in concerts. So I took the time to get to know my patients, as I know we all do. Especially when I had that time in the evenings and night. And after that, I was dedicated to working with helping older adults through my nursing practice. When I got into education, I worked really hard to figure out ways to connect important aspects of nursing, such as therapeutic use of self, taking an accurate H&P, and dispelling stereotypes and biases that create barriers to the best nursing care. Disrupt Aging Classroom wasn't there at that time, so I needed to create something on my own. But it never did all the things that I really wanted it to do, those lessons, like the DA Classroom does. There are a lot of great things about DA Classroom, but helping students to see older adults as real people, not those characters on TV, is one of the best things, in my opinion. The volunteers don't just say, I'm not a stereotype, I'm not a character. No, they role model. They talk, they present. Through the DA Classroom program, the students see this and that internalizes those concepts to them. After the DA Classroom, more students come up to me and they say, this just might be an interesting group of people that I might want to work with when I graduate. So I feel that the geriatric content that needs to be threaded through a nursing curriculum is there. In general, there needs to be more geriatric content. I think there needs to be dedicated classes that focus on aging theory, as well as geriatric specific nursing care. But I also believe that the uniqueness of older adults needs to be highlighted in all nursing classes, whether that's psych, health assessment, and beyond. So given the wide variety of nursing curriculum at all the various schools, I think that having DA Classroom can provide a really great, consistent starting point. It provides a great overview of the stereotyping that happens. It sparks the conversation about older adults that can be carried throughout the entire semester in different courses. It also provides insight into the facts that there is so little geriatric content in higher ed healthcare curriculum. So given the design DA Classroom, I think it's easy to work with into your class. It's low risk in the sense that there doesn't need to be high stakes assignments connected to it. It's versatile in the sense that you can easily create a quiz or quiz questions. And the program, you can also assign participation points just for being present during the presentation and during the program. So I think the DA Classroom fits well within college courses, or even as a component of a fieldwork course, seminar course, or even as an event for a residential life community, such as a nursing themed LLC or living learning community. Next slide, please. Now, the sooner that future nurses connect with this material, in my opinion, the better. I think that new nurses, especially those who work in long-term care settings, geriatric specific units, would benefit greatly from the material in the DA Classroom. Seeing older adults in a different way, building community, building out social networks during the active learning activities that are embedded in the DA Classroom. Would learning about older adults only benefit nurses in the long-term care settings? No. Nurses working in every environment are going to benefit, even pediatrics. Pediatric patients, remember, have parents, they have grandparents, right? So we need to work with those families to provide the best possible care as well. So all potential nurses can benefit. And DA Classroom is the best possible foundation to provide an understanding for older adults and to foster interest in future nursing students. It touches on the psychosocial side of older adulthood, and there's a natural progression for students who are interested in taking a next step to continue on with the many offerings from AARP, such as social integration program. And as we advance to the next slide, I'm going to share a brief personal story about how the Disrupt Aging Classroom has impacted students of mine specifically. So there was a student who's in an accelerated nursing program here at Quinnipiac and was taking her coursework, as all students do. She was in a course with attached fieldwork and was managing a case of several older adults. Just starting out in the nursing program, she was learning everything all at once. I mean, we're talking like the week two of the program. Everything was fine with the clients except for this one who was by themselves. They were living alone, a bit reclusive. So after going through the DA Classroom and this nursing leadership course I was teaching, she realized that these things were not a normal part of aging, despite what she thought she knew, in quotes, about older people, maybe even by watching TV. So she took quick action to connect with the clinical instructor and then work to bring in the health colleagues like social work, psych, family members, got the treatment that this client needed, and now he's thriving. So I think the DA Classroom in this case really helped her realize that it wasn't normal and prompted her to move forward. And to me, that shows the real world application of the DA Classroom. So I want to thank you for the time here, an opportunity to talk a little bit about my experience with the DA Classroom.
Hello, my name is Karina Trujillo Tanner. Karen, thank you for the invitation to present. And Nicholas, I just concur with what you said. I was tasked as a brand new College of Nursing faculty in fall of 2019 with rehashing and reinventing our nursing care of the older adult course, the least popular course in the college, the course which was required, but students grudgingly took and faculty grudgingly taught, because it's not fun to teach a course when the students don't want to be there. I even heard a faculty say, well, there's just no way to make the course Nursing Care of Older Adults challenging. And this blew my mind as a doctorally educated gerontologist and a clinician at University of Utah Healthcare for 11 years, working with older adults. I couldn't believe that this, our most complex and diverse group of patients, those who have the most life experience of any of us, the most experienced citizens, were the least desirable. This was reinforced when I read nursing school applications and I hear the nurses say, I want to be a pediatric nurse. I want to work mom baby. I want to work in emergency medicine. And so I set out to create an interesting and engaging course. And now my course has turned around. It's become a very popular course. And I can't wait to share with you some of the quotes that students have shared as a feedback after completing the course. I discovered the Disrupt Aging curriculum at an international conference in the fall of 2019. And I was so excited about it because the topics covered, the stories, the structure, the engaging activities were just what I was hoping for to start out early in the semester with my Nursing Care of Older Adults class. I became a certified instructor for the Disrupt Aging classroom curriculum. Now, you don't have to do this. You can have a volunteer come teach for you virtually, but I am an instructor and I do teach in person. And it's a highlight of the semester. Here are some of my students. Next slide, please. Here I have another group of students. I have 140 students per year. So over a 10-year career, I think that I will have a big influence on 1,400 nurses and all the patients they care for in a variety of settings. As Nicholas said, wherever you work in nursing, you will be working with older adults. They will primarily be your patients most of your patients in the emergency room will be older adults. Most of your patients in the ICUs will be older adults and on the medical surgical floors. And did you know, and I learned this from the DA classroom curriculum, we have over 1 million grandparents who are the primary care providers for their grandchildren. So if you're in pediatrics, you'll be working with parents of those children who are older adults. Mom baby, we have older ladies who are on our gynecological floors who are there for female surgeries. So I have just loved this work. I'm going to read, I think these quotes kind of speak for themselves. One student said, a quote from our class that stood out to me the most was something like, the moment you start stopping is the moment you start aging. I think this teaches the importance of living a full life from your young age on, because aging is happening to us right now, meaning eating well, staying active, finding things that you can enjoy and doing them often, forming close connections and friendships, and more. We also talked about how our perception of age can really affect our health and well-being, and even how long we end up living. I hope I can show my patients what a beautiful thing it is to be older. Here's another quote. What are the options for working as a nurse in gerontology? Talking about gerontology got me really interested in the ways it can be practiced as a nurse. Since starting the nursing program, I haven't thought about working in gerontology, but now I'm considering it. It seems like a field that needs a lot of attention where I could really contribute. I would love to make a difference for older adults. What would that look like for a nurse? Here's another. The connection I made during these classes was why so many adults who are over the expected retirement age continue to work. I always wondered why so many would continue to work if they could have free time and family and travel and experience a low-stress lifestyle. However, many older adults are unable to make ends meet with Social Security assistance alone. Various expenses such as food, insurance, housing payments, medications, and others put a big burden on these individuals. Continuing to work after the age of retirement is the only way that they can continue to maintain a healthy lifestyle. So see, students are getting an insight into what some of the challenges are that their patients are facing. When I asked my students, what % of older adults age 65 and older do you think live in nursing homes? Now remember, nursing students, many of my nursing students start out getting ready for nursing school by working as CNAs in long-term care settings. They get this distorted view of what it means to be an older adult because they're working among the very most frail and the very most ill of the older adults. And when I ask, what percentage do you think work in long-term care settings? They usually say 40%, 60%. It's actually 2% of older adults age 65 and older live in long-term care settings. And even among our oldest age 85 and older, it's 7%, which means 93% are in the community. So my nursing students are ready as they prepare their patients to leave the hospital. They recognize they're going home, and this changes the education that they provide to them. And this helps them to connect with family caregivers. Overall, I feel that the information that they get in this curriculum is going to prepare them to really meet the needs of their older patients in a new way and in a way that fosters late life potential. I'll just end with one last quote. When I show my patients that I see them as multidimensional, I can restore some hope in them to take control of their care with me as their supporter. Next slide. Here are some words that my students shared before the training. The larger words are the ones that were most frequently used. I asked them to share 3 words: slow, retirement, pain, gray, frail. Next slide, please. And these are the words my students shared after the training: experience, capable, love, healthy, opportunity, joy, experience, wisdom. So you can see how powerful this was, and it was just what I hoped to find. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I love that you ended on the word cloud because that's one of my favorite outcomes of the classroom, because you see immediately they go from old, disabled, weak to wise, experience, freedom, like really shifting people's thinking in just a 2.5-hour curriculum is pretty remarkable. So, we're excited to bring this program to the nurses, and we're hoping that, more of you will potentially join us to be facilitators. We do provide, training, support, we schedule classes, we do as much as we can to make this as turnkey for our volunteers as possible. I think, thank you to both Nick and to Karina to help us really think about, what it's like to be a facilitator and to teach these classes, because I think, we wanted to bring the both of them because, I think having that perspective of being a nurse tells you, kind of grounds you in how this really can bring you into that next conversation with.
Thank you all.
Of 23, it says 22, but it's 23. And we hope that you will, hit the QR code to, learn more about joining us for an upcoming training. And I think we are about to get booted into our next round. But thank you everyone for joining us. And, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me or any of the other team who is on this call. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Very quickly, as we get ready to leave, if you are interested in taking next steps, we have the links and information you will need to do so. Please note the links will open an external website. So if you click on them during the session, be sure to open these links in a new tab or simply save them to a Word document so you can revisit them later. And don't worry, all event information, including recordings of every session, will be emailed out after the event. Thank you, and we're ready for you to move on.
Bye.